Did comment, there are coaches out there with half your experience, half your results, attracting more inquiries than you are right now. Not because they're better coaches or they have more qualifications than you, but because they simply understand how to market themselves. They know how to stand out, differentiate, so their service looks attractive to the right people. I've got clients who haven't sent a single outbound DM in 3 years, yet they average between 5 and 30 inquiries every single week where people are coming to them from referrals or off the back of content that they positioned correctly. And in this video, I want to cover 3 different levels of differentiation you can put into your business, into your content, into your offer, so you can do the same, so you can stand out. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to package your service, how to talk about it, who to stand out, or how to stand out and who to stand out to and who that person is, so you can get more people coming to you. And all the information I'm going to cover is from my coaching community Scale with Service. There's a free trial on the link below. This is just one tutorial out of 87 that I cover between content referrals and lead generation. So you can check that out. But let's get into this. The first layer I want to address is who you help. Now, before we even get into this, most people suck at niching down. They're terrible at it because they niche down on demographic. They niche down on, Mohawk lesbians from Hull. I'm talking to you. It's like you don't niche down on demographic. You niche down on problems, more so the situational problems that potential demographic goes through. That way you're not hit, if you drop, this is morbid, if you drop a bomb, the epicenter is the most powerful area and then it ripples out and there's like a ripple effect. Okay, I could have just said drop a pebble into a lake. That would have been a lot more comfortable, but hey ho, why did my brain go for bomb? But anyway, there's ripples, and the heavier the pebble, I guess, the stronger the ripples, and that's what we're trying to do. The precision of your message is the weight of the pebble. Now, so when we actually look at this, how do you break down situation rather than focusing on a demographic? And the way I've always envisaged this and the way I teach this is, if you look at the industry as a solar system, this is the simplest way I can put this across. Because what you have is you have different investment levels, education levels. So someone on the outside who's Pluto, this is someone who's basically, what do we call this? Well, I'll label that Pluto. And this is, that is basically the sun. Now, anyone who's like beyond Pluto on the outside, these are people who are not invested, who haven't started, who are incredibly naive. If it's fitness, this person right here is at Pluto orbit range. They think the hairy bikers are the godsend. They've got a new cookbook, how to eat healthy. Ply yourself full of cashew nuts and avocado. You'll burn fat. Great, no you won't. But they are probably very early on in the process, and as you go towards the epicenter, as you go through the orbit ranges, there's more education, there's more investment, there's more understanding. So for example, the next orbit range, if you're looking at, is it Uranus? Or it would be Uranus. That's someone probably looking at Joe Wicks. You've gone from hairy bikers to Joe Wicks, lean in 15. He's the fitness guy once you've got beyond those cookbooks. Once you get beyond Joe Wicks, who is next? God forbid, is it V-Shred? I mean, I don't know if that guy's still going, but whoever's big on YouTube, Athlean X, beyond those guys, you actually have probably your first coach PTs. Beyond that, when you get to the sun, you've got the guys who are judging Mr. Olympia. I work out, I go to, luckily enough, I'm very fortunate, train at Bev Francis gym. Steve Weinberg, he decides who has the best physique on the planet. He is probably the epicenter of the sun. But the point is, each orbit range you have is a different sort of education level or different investment of levels, someone going through their own journey. What is your orbit range? Where do you stand? Because if you can look at it like that, you now know the understanding education level of the people you're wanting to attract in your content. So that informs you of the topics, but it also informs you of the questions, the struggles, or what's in their head, because you've got to understand this situation. In the orbit range is the situation. So you can see how we're moving away from Mohican lesbians in Hull. We're not going after a type of person, what they look like and their orientation or whatever. You're going after the education investment level and the situation. Your role as a service is to take people from one orbit range to another. Maybe it's even 2 orbit ranges. What's the ideal person? What's the ideal client? What are they like at the beginning of the process? Cool. Where are you going to take them to? What's the remit of your service? Why do you exist and what are you here for? What's the journey, the prospective journey that you want to forecast for people who haven't experienced it yet? Already that's more exciting and more tangible and more interesting, and it gives you the level of understanding, and it gives you the bedrock of how to communicate your service once it becomes a journey and a kind of a promise or what you're offering. That's more exciting. That's more interesting, and it gives people clarity on what you're all about. So that is the first layer of how to niche down and who you help. And we look at the second layer, that's how you do it. So that typically looks at your method. And I mean, loosely, if it is about like progressive overload, if it's building muscle, you could just be obsessive about progressive overload. James Smith, PT, he originally coined the term calorie fucking deficit. It was a bit of a bite-sized version of what he was all about, bit of branding, but you have a base methodology. And you know, we actually have a way to break this and go deeper here. So this is not a lemon. This is my artistic talent live. That is an onion. So the point of this is you have different layers of the onion. And what we want to do is a little bit of a groundwork exercise where you break down 3 layers, because right now, the only thing you're thinking about is the outside layer, which is basically what you do. This is the mechanics of your service. Training plan, diet plan, app, check-ins. Boring. The same as every other person. This is what anyone talks about. If you look at other coaches, they just talk about what they do. It's so over-talked, it's so saturated, and no one gives a flying fuck anymore. You need to get beyond this, and in order for someone to look or to convince someone that it's worthwhile or interesting, you have to delve deeper. So there's what you do, and the next layer is how you do it. That's where you could focus particularly on if it progressive overload, calorie deficit, maybe it's ketogenic diet. That's a bit more of how you go about doing it and the day-to-day. And again, if you understand the person accurately, like you've done that solar system experiment where you kind of pin down the psychology or the thoughts, behaviors, and emotions of people at the right orbit range that you want to attract. How you do it could just be, it doesn't have to be niche down towards like obsessively focusing on keto. It could be a calorie deficit or a diet, but how you do it, you could just make it super applicable to the psychographic or the psychology of that person so they really understand it. For example, you could reference the fact that obviously to lose weight, you need to be in a deficit. What you do, you typically do it over a certain time period, because most people, they go all or nothing mindset and they want to lose weight as fast as possible. You're all about slow weight loss. It's not attractive, but it works because it enables you to live a life, and it enables you to actually adopt this new lifestyle which isn't painful, and you don't undo it. It's so, ironically, it's quicker because you don't burn out, you don't run away from this process. You don't have to burn out and cool off and just have to binge on the weekends. You can make allowances, but there's a gradual rate. So basically, if you understand the struggles of the person at the orbit range, you can then adapt what you do and how you do it purely to their understanding, and make it the perfect solution to their thoughts and problems. And that can differentiate you in how you do what you do. And then you have why you do it. And so many people don't get to that stage. Yet it's the most attractive, it's the most powerful, because it creates an origin story. And us as humans, we're hardwired to listen to stories, and it's basically what sells it, because it gives people reason, and it gives you credibility, and it makes you different, makes you unique, and people will buy into that before they buy into the service itself. They'll buy into your reasons and they'll buy into you. And the easiest way to describe you is, what's your story? Why are you here? Why are you doing this beyond money? What is the point of this? And for me, when I look back at my story, I think the most fulfilling moment I've had in my life is I've helped 2 clients basically help them quit their job. They're working the police. And I was invited to a surprise birthday party for one of the clients, Adam. He didn't know I was coming. It was a 2.5 drive for me. I just thought, I haven't got plans that day. I'll go in, I'll surprise them. And then throughout that, I ended up meeting his parents. And it was like I was a teacher at a parents' evening. Yet I think I'm slightly younger than Adam, but his parents were like talking to me as if I was giving Adam a school report. Like, he's a hard worker, our son, and all this sort of stuff. And they were just beaming at me. And I just didn't think about the impact it had, because now I realise that he's quit his job, his income's increased, the quality of life he's giving for himself is increased, the quality of life for his daughters increased, but also the quality of life because he can now spend time with his parents. The grandparents can see their granddaughter more often. It's just completed that family unit, and you don't notice that when you work remotely, but seeing it up close, it was just so fulfilling to kind of see the implications of the work. And I just thought, if I can just do that for 10,000 families, I know I've made a difference to enough people that I want to make a difference, and I'm not wasting my time. I'm actually doing something which is benefiting people. So it's just, that was satisfying for me. But you need to come up with your own story, or you need to have your reasons why beyond this. I mean, it could just be your own weight loss journey. It could be your own experience. It could be a big FU moment to someone else. Whatever it is, if you have a reason for you providing your service, that's more exciting, and it will hit people and it will resonate with people a lot more readily, and convince them and sell them on you first. And that's the biggest thing that people miss. They try and sell the service, but they miss selling themselves. People will buy into you before they buy your product or your service. So that's a big part of it. Another element to this, how you do what you do, is turning it into a bit more of a process, because again, most coaches focus on what? When you get to the house stage, when you peel back the layers of the onion, you need to think about presenting your service in a bite-sized form. And this is really a spectrum between, on one side, you've got bullshit marketer who is full of crap and is obviously spouting nonsense in like a plan, a scheme, a process. Just do this one thing, this one strategy you miss. A lot of us know that's bollocks. But on the other side, you've got the world's best kept secret, who is boring as fuck and is just an academic who just spouts papers and tries to speak to their colleagues, not to the people who are going to pay them and fund their life. You've got to pick where you want to be on that spectrum, but you have to make your process easy to understand and bite-sized. And the reason you need to do this is because if someone looks at your service and they can immediately say, tried that, categorized, didn't work, next. That's what's happening. Whereas if it looks different, you stop that pattern recognition and they have to go, oh, haven't tried that, what's that about? And you get through the first gate. So this is where with my clients, I kind of advise creating something like this, where you have, it could be phases, it could be steps, it could be processes. And the key with this is, if it looks unique and it looks like yours, you immediately break through and get through that gate. But also, a hidden benefit, or an extra brownie point you can do, is once you understand the orbit range, like that person and the struggles at that first orbit range, like we covered earlier, if each phase solves a struggle and is a clear reason for that phase mapped onto what that person's gone through and why they haven't succeeded, that will sing to them, and it makes it look like an obvious thing they need. And I mean, so when you say it out loud, but making your service look like something they want, or making it look like the missing link, it'll make it so much easier to sell. And this is why a lot of coaches with less experience are selling more, because they've done a little bit of this, and a lot of them, they're probably terrible coaches, but they just can package things well. And that, on the front end, it is important. I am here to help the coaches who are good at what they do package correctly. My enemy is shite coaches who ruin the reputation of the industry. I want to put them out of business. And to do that, I need to help the coaches with authenticity and integrity, but terrible skill at communication. I need to improve the communication skill and help you guys get more clients and actually show them what an experience can be. So present, package, and turn things into a process which looks exciting. And obviously, having a body transformation throughout that process, if you're in fitness, that's important, because you can give them an exciting expectation. And again, once you understand the orbit range trajectory of here to here, you can think about the journey that you're proposing to take the average person through. And you can adjust it when people come through, but you get my point. And then the last layer we need to look into is who we are. And again, this is becoming more important because personal branding is, well, with AI, information is worthless, but how it's delivered is important, because people don't trust information if it comes from what's the word, dubious source, and people are still skeptical of AI. Whereas if they believe you and they like you and and you look like you have what they want to offer, they're more going to be receptive to the information you can deliver. So how you come across is important. So this covers like, what values do you have? You know, what opinions do you have? I mean, who are your enemies? Can you show off your sense of humor? I mean, it feels weird saying it out loud, but it goes a long way. You know, that's that human element. So it's, you know, what would it be like working with you? I know it's overlooked, but that's a big thing. If you're on content and you look boring and bland, then it's like, wow, that's gonna be a battle full of laughs. That's gonna be fun. I mean, I might get what I want, but Jesus, you know, being personable can go such a long way. And ultimately, I think the key with this is you don't have to be someone you're not, but working with you is overlooked. Like, you as part of your service is overlooked. It's not all about the process and the plan. It's like you as the person. So adding that into the content is important. Content about your lifestyle, about what you're into, about what you watch, your humor, who you subscribe to, who you stand against, who you stand for. It is important because it allows people to resonate and associate with you way before they have the need for what you do. And then you'll probably get their attention that way, and then it turns out that you'll most likely get their attention initially with that style of content. They'll subscribe to you, they'll like you, and then in time, they're probably going to listen to your other content and realize that they don't have that, they need that help. They haven't thought about it that way. That seems attractive. I need that. I want that. How? And there you go. You might get that inquiry hit. Another thing to consider when it comes to who you are is the 4 base personality types, because people value different things. And we're not going to get bogged down to this, but this is basically something called the DISC method. But you have a D, you have an I, you have a C, and you have an S. I mean, there's the color theory, there's like Surrounded by Idiots. I think that's a recent book that's quite popular right now. You have the colors, there's Suits for playing cards, that's this. But in essence, these guys value winning. They want to be first through the gate, and they're very competitive, and they want to beat other people. Personally, for me, I don't like working with Ds because they're pretty selfish, self-centered. They're ambitious, but from my experience, they're ruthless, and you know, they're just, yeah, I don't enjoy working with them. On the other hand, you've got Is who are people, but they value fun, entertainment. What's it like? And as long as they also value uniqueness, and they value like that element of community edge as well. So they're not overly competitive, but both these types, these are sort of outgoing, and these are extrovert, you know. These are introvert, and these are not ingoing, but yeah, these are kind of more reflective, I would say. And these people have internal decision making, and these people rely, basically, it's external decision making. There's way more to it than this, but we're not going to get bogged down. Cs, they're analytical. They value being right above all else. They need to make the informed decision. They're going to ask you 1,000,001 questions. They're going to read your FAQs. They're going to tell you your 14th FAQ has a typo, and you need to add another 3 things to your FAQ section. They need validation, proof. But once you get them and they feel like they made the right decision, they're loyal, and they'll probably recommend you. And S's, these people value community and they value support. So this is where empathy is really important. If you could demonstrate that you have their back, they'll be loyal to you forever. They'll most likely to refer you, but they're probably going to need your validation quite a lot. For them to act, they're going to rely on your word, your opinion more than their own. So you're going to have to offer that quite close support. But once you understand more about the different base personality types, what your personality type is, you'll realize who you're most likely going to attract based on who you are and who you best match. Then there are other identity types. There's 6 other identity types. We're not going to go into it now, but that adds more layers of complexity. And again, I cover all this and more inside my community to help coaches not just increase and attract more clients, but also to help improve the service communication skill, because you can grow a business not by getting more clients, but by increasing the time they stay with you. Because a client value is not when they sign up with you, it's the total months they spend with you. And the more often, or if you can extend that time frame beyond 6 months, the more likely to stay for 12, based on the data I've observed, working with 450 plus people, and they're more likely to refer their friends. That's the best lead gen because it's leveraging high trust networks. So there's more ways to grow a coaching business than you think. There's a link below, you can access it, free trial. But you've got to consider your own personality and who you're going to mesh with, and this makes the service really enjoyable, or it makes it a constant drain where you turn up at that check and you go, oh fuck, not them again. Yeah, so this can all go into the content, so you attract the right people to make it more enjoyable and make it perfect, or a better fit. Nothing's a perfect fit, but a better fit where that person's more likely to not just sign up, but sign up and stay. So that is the final layer of like who you are. And then when you add all that together, you've got, okay, who do you help? Who do you help? And what situational problems are you niching down to? And that's like the external factor. Then you have, well, how do you do it? What's your method? Do you have a process? Do you have a why? How do you deliver to those people? And then the final piece of the puzzle is, who are you? What would the experience be like from you? And you'll have your own way of delivering this how, your own why, and how the person in the personal coach comes across. And once you kind of look at all the complexity within those 3 layers, you realize it's impossible to steal that service because it's infinitely unique. No one can steal it when you do the groundwork and drill down to these areas. And this is, once you have clarity on this, it will become obvious, and you'll be able to kind of play to your strong suit, and then your content can start to stand out. Your service can start to look different. It can start to appeal to the right people. And if you just be consistent with time, the algorithm will understand it. The people watching will start to understand it. You'll push away the people it's not worth or it's not appealing to. And in time, you'll start to attract the people who it is appropriate for. But you need consistency. And the more you post, the quicker it'll work, but you need that consistency, like I said, because when someone watches a bit of content, it's not like oh, I want that, go straight away. Only a small percentage of the market, 3%, are ready to buy right now. 97 aren't. So it's that reps over and over again of all these 3 different layers added in to create that differentiation. And the good news for you is, once you do this, because you have more knowledge, you have more experience, you have more skill, and you're more qualified than shite coaches out there who are a little bit ahead of the game with this in terms of you, where you are right now. But once you know this, you'll massively dominate them because you'll be able to present, communicate, work out that front end piece of the puzzle, attract the right people. What they see is what they get, which is what they want. And that makes the process of building a business more enjoyable for you, but it also makes it compound because, as I said, more retention, higher chance of referrals, and then you have more material to show off and work on the front end. But hope that helps. That's it for this video. But like I said, all this is covered in my community, not just niching down and offer positioning, but content, lead generation, retention, referrals, service frameworks, coaching communication style, everything we've discussed and more. Free trial link below. Try it out for yourself. See you next one.